Welcome back to the channel. And today's guest is a personal injury attorney who's built a brand around something that many drivers have overlooked, dash cams. His personal story, legal expertise, and public education are efforts to help reshape of how we think of video evidence on the road. Um, you're known as the dash cam attorney. Can you share us your personal story or accidents or legal background that led you to build this brand, Shannon?
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. It's always good to see you. I have had dash cams in my cars for years. Probably 7 years now is when I started putting dash cams in my cars. What I was noticing in the cases was liability issues were starting to increase. In other words, people who hit my clients were starting to lie about how the accident happened. I noticed this wave, this trend, so to speak, and their insurance companies were jumping on board as well. And we could go down a long story, but the reason they do it is the insurance companies, it saves them money if they deny either all liability or partial liability. It helps save them money. So I'm driving down I-95 one day. I'm looking at my dash cam and I realize, why am I not talking about this stuff when I've been using these things forever and I'm frustrated with people and the insurance companies lying? This is almost 100% foolproof way to find out really what happened.
Yeah. And we both practice in Florida. I'm a chiropractor. I practice in Florida. You're an attorney, personal injury attorney. You practice here in Florida. And there's also been some changes in the law, right? It's more, it can be more challenging to prove liability and to have evidence there, video evidence that can be used by an attorney like you to help a client, because so many times people might have a different, there might be a different story than what really is. And with the dash cam, it documents that. I have one in my car. I had spoken with you, and I have, after hearing about some of the stories you told me about how people try to get out of liability. And also in Florida, the auto insurance rates are so high. People might try to say they weren't at fault if they were. And if your client has that video evidence, that dash cam, then it's going to help get them justice. So, do you have any stories? Have you helped people that have had that and it made just life so much easier? Or maybe the other side had said, no, it wasn't my fault, but you had the dash cam.
So I do have a few cases so far. Right now, believe it or not, dash cams are still not common. They're not popular, and people are still every day reaching out to me asking me what they are. But
Yeah.
I do have a few notable cases. There's one in particular that I like showing when I do speeches and presentations and CLEs. I have a very particular one that I like to show people because it really can, when you see the actual video of a crash on a video, it's much more powerful than me just telling you as a potential client or a driver in Florida, you need to go get one. So the accident that I have in the case that the gentleman I represented, it was a T-bone type accident, but the other driver was coming from behind a ramp, getting off of a highway ramp, high concrete, so he couldn't see my guy. My guy had a clear green light, and he smashes and T-bones my guy. He goes right back to his insurance company, says, we ran the red light. We're at fault. His insurance company takes his side because they don't know any better. And lo and behold, once we got the hospital records and some therapy records and sent the video over to the other driver's insurance company, they ended up paying the policy limits and obviously accepting liability. But they took a hard stance that we were the ones that ran the red light. And here's the thing, if that dash cam was not in my client's car, let's just say, and this happens all the time, let's say there were two people in the other car and they want to decide to lie, they could potentially get away with it. Even if it went all the way to trial and a jury, it just comes down to who a jury likes better and who is more believable. It doesn't mean that that's the person that's really telling the truth. So if the other driver had two people in their car. My guy has no dash cam. It could have been a two-on-one situation, and here he is responsible for an accident that he did not cause.
Yeah. Wow. And you have a YouTube channel that I think is amazing where you show all these different accidents and so forth, and all these interesting videos. And how did you come up with branding yourself as the dash cam lawyer? I think that's so interesting.
Thank you. Um, like I said, just driving on I-95, looked at my dash cam and the light went off, so to speak. And I'm like, I'm driving around when all my cars have these dash cams. I'm telling people to get them. Why am I not using this in my marketing in my law firm? Because I was doing it silently with my clients and friends, telling them to get dash cams. So I want to make sure there wasn't anyone else that had that similar name, the dash cam lawyer, because that's what came to mind. No
Hmm.
one did. I went straight to my longtime law school friend Danielle, who does trademarks, and I asked her, "Is anyone using this?" She said no, and she said, "Let's fly with it." But you right away, you got to start doing social media. You got to
Right.
start promoting it. And so I got the name, the Dashcam Lawyer, trademarked
Uh-huh.
probably a year ago now, and we've been doing it for about 2 years with this new brand and new niche.
That's great. And you do educational talks. What are some of the things you do for the community with this brand and with this message?
So I've spoken to real estate offices because realtors are always driving about the importance of having a dash cam and why, going into different neighborhoods that they're not familiar with. I have spoken to different chambers of commerce. I've gone to insurance agencies and offices to show them why their customers should be having dash cams. It'll certainly help with claims that are submitted to them. The last presentation I did was with the Palm Beach County Bar Association, continuing education, and I discussed all of the laws
Mhm.
related and cases and statutes related to dash cams currently.
Oh, great. And you've given out some dash cams too, right?
Just a few. We try to do our best to count how many we've given away. And we're probably around 720, 730 dash cams that we've given to mainly people throughout Palm Beach County. But every now and then, if I'm traveling and say I used to go to Atlanta a lot, I would bring one or two with me and give them to my Uber drivers, just anyone that I saw did not have a dash cam in their car. Just trying to get them out there, get the word out there. Obviously, it's marketing as well, but some law firms do billboards and radio ads and stuff like that. I figure this is a win-win for everybody by giving them a dash cam.
And you, in your experience, when you have cases where their client did have the dash cam, how fast do the insurance companies usually just settle the case?
Um, I can tell you it's not necessarily faster because they still want the client's medical records
Mhm.
and bills. That's still part of the claim. But I can tell you that once the negotiations start, and we submit all the bills, then usually we're able to get it resolved faster. So it's not necessarily makes the case faster from the beginning, but it helps with negotiations. It gets higher settlements so far from what I've seen.
Awesome. Um, and you know what? I mean, having a dash cam also, you might pick up things while driving that might not be in an accident. Um, there's something else that could happen. So, and it could be helpful. There could be another crime. It might help somebody else on the road. So I think if more people had them, it would be beneficial for everybody just driving around because more people would have know that somewhere somebody's got a video of what happened. So I think that's important. And maybe, for younger drivers, it might not be a bad idea. The parents, they know if there's a dash cam there, Maybe the kids might drive a little bit better because they don't know, maybe the parents could watch some of the video and they can see are they obeying all of the traffic laws. So I think it's got a lot of different benefits. Anything else that you could think of that could benefit people?
Well, like you said, I do have a few cases where independent witnesses have actually stopped and given my clients dash cam footages that they have. So
Wow.
that's it's hard to get witnesses to help out with accidents, I found these days, but I do see that people are willing to give up dash cam video and help my clients in these instances. So that's been great. As far as the kids, you're right. I'm a big proponent of the parents making deals with their kids. Hey, if you're going to be driving around in our car, that dash cam needs to stay on 24/7. You cannot mess with it. And it's for your own good as well. If you're in an accident, usually younger people are getting, bullied maybe into thinking they're the ones that caused the accident because they're inexperienced. And it hopefully will keep them in check, knowing that if they do something wrong and the parents catch it, they've got the video to show it, and there's consequences to it. We've talked about uh, sort of quicker and higher settlements. It's the whole liability thing. That's the main part. Is I'm just seeing an enormous amount of people lying about how an accident happened, and I don't know the reason for it. All I could speculate is we do have some of the highest rates in the country,
Hmm.
and people don't want to claim, especially one that's their fault. And so they figure they're going to take a chance and come back to their insurance company, even if they might have admitted fault at the police at the scene. I've seen some go back to their insurance company and change their mind, and then their insurance company puts their foot down and says, "Well, my insured didn't do anything wrong, or they're only 70% at fault."
Right.
Some random number that makes no sense.
Right, right. Wow. Well, and then I could think maybe seniors too. Like you were talking about, when there's an accident, sometimes there could be somebody that tries to bully the other person into saying that it wasn't my fault, it wasn't my fault, tell the off and intimidate them. And if you do have the dash cam, it's easier when the officer does come to be like, here's the footage, this is what happened, officer. And I would think it can help those people too that get into those situations. They've got the adrenaline going. They're upset. They're they have all this anxiety, and having that, could give people peace of mind, knowing that they have that footage. And even if they don't have a rear dash cam, but they have a front dash cam, it still, I think, could be useful in that it can show where they were on the road. Were they turning? Were they not? Were they in their lane? What was the light in front of them? So when I found out you're doing this, I just thought it was great, and I, wanted to interview you about that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. As you know, I'm very passionate about this. I'm really doing my best to get the word out. And just like you said, even if you don't have a camera that does the front and rear, at least get something in there. Something is better than not having a dash cam. Something is better than having one versus one, or another car hits you and you've got two or three people in that car versus yourself. You don't want to be put in that position because there's no guarantee your lawyer is going to be able to get you out of it or solve the problem or prove that you truly did not do anything wrong. This is such a common sense thing. I anticipate, I follow the dash cam industry. It's supposed to double by 2030. So I anticipate by then almost everyone's going to have one. But for now, you'd be surprised. Every day someone reaches out to me and they have no idea what a dash cam is. So we all have a lot of learning and education to do. But that's my goal, like I said, is to just give them away and talk about them as much as possible.
Right. And so if somebody's going to get a dash cam, I know I've seen on Amazon, there's like hundreds of them. There's so many. Are there things that you should look for when you're buying a dash cam? Like what would you look for if you could speak to that a little bit?
So, they're becoming less and less expensive and more technologically advanced. I would prefer something that's 4K resolution, which is kind of the best you can get. You get to the 4K level, then you can start seeing things like license plates and smaller details a little bit better. If you can only afford a 1080, then get a 1080 resolution. Make sure it has a SD card. There are some dash cams that you can pull the footage on an app, but you want to make sure it has a SD card that's also recording just in case the app doesn't work, which most of them should have an SD card. Make sure you've got one in there and it's formatted. Um, Other than that, those are really the two major things that I think someone needs to have for a dash cam. You could keep it very, very simple and easy, um, and not get so bogged down by the I see some people get intimidated by the technology, and some of my friends won't install it because they're just don't know what to do or how to do it. But really, it's a 10-minute process. You could really get it up and running, and then for the most part, set it and forget it.
Okay, cool. Are there any brands that you have bought or you've seen that are better than others and are reliable?
I went, when before I started making my own dash cam, I liked Red Tiger a lot. You can get it on Amazon. You can get them for around $100 for a really solid camera. I don't believe I've ever had any issues the few times that I've owned them. But Red Tiger's the name that stands out for me. Other than that, I happen to get lucky because I've been in this industry for over almost 3 years now, sourcing dash cams. So I have multiple manufacturers that I use, and I'm actually have my own brand that should be
Oh,
coming out on Amazon soon.
oh, great. Okay. So, if you'd like, we can leave a link to that in the description. Also, a link to your YouTube channel. What's the name of your YouTube channel again?
The dash cam lawyer.
All right, awesome. And I think it helps everybody on the road, the more people that have dash cams. I think it helps, and even sometimes, and this sounds weird, but even if you have a camera in your car, you might maybe drive a little safer because maybe you know that it is recording. It's a great for defense as well. It's great if you have younger drivers, making sure that they're obeying the laws. We want to have the true story of really what happened. And unfortunately, in a time where I see it in my practice too, where patients were in a car accident and they explain what happened, and then I hear that the other side or the other person is claiming that they caused the accident. So it's very tricky. So the dash cam I think is important. After speaking with you, I actually went out and I got one, and it's great. And it's really easy to install. I'm not a real techie guy, and it's just pretty much putting it onto the front glass and then putting it in the cigarette lighter, and it's as simple as that. So um, you've shared so much insight, and it's been great. I really appreciate it. Anything else you'd like to add about dash cams or things people should know more about dash cams or purchasing them or legal questions or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone has a question about dash cams, reach out to me. I think I know pretty much everything as far as
Okay.
they're concerned. I'm well versed on the laws. There aren't a lot of laws because dash cams are still new to cases.
Hmm.
Think about it. Not a lot of dash cam footage is getting brought into to litigated cases because a lot of times, at least in my situation and some of my colleagues, the cases are getting settled because the dash cam footage is helping them out. But if you have a chance, I would get a camera with front and rear recording. Now that, unless you're very handy, which I'm not, you need a professional installer to do that. But that's probably the most and best protection you have. But don't let that scare you if you can't do that or you can't afford an installer or don't have the time. Just make sure you get the camera up on your front windshield. Anything up there is better than nothing.
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Shannon, for the giving us so much information today. Really appreciate it. We'll have your information in the description notes down below. And if any of our guests would like to get in hold of Shannon, please contact him. He's a wealth of knowledge in this area. Thanks for coming in today, and I really appreciate it. And have a great one. Take care.
You too. Thanks, Doc. Appreciate
All
it.
right.